In this video, we are going to go over the legendary drops that come from Saboteur. Saboteur is the next to last story mode, currently as of Winter Update. And there are 3 bosses in Saboteur. The first one is Shift Supervisor Varl. When you run it on normal mode, he has a chance of dropping Time Killer, which gives you a reduced cooldown. It gives you a critical hit damage as secondary. And the third, which gives you 1.5 seconds of shield recharge delay, reduced shield recharge delay, which is great because if you start with 5 seconds, 1.5 delay is about a third of that, and so that only occurs whenever all your skills are on cooldown. So, but that's a large shield recharge delay. It's a good one. In advanced mode, Varl can drop the Modernista. And this gives you maximum shield strength, reduces your cooldown time a little bit, and then the big one is that bullets hit your shield have a 20% chance to reflect back at your attacker. So if you have your shield up, this is basically 20% damage mitigation for ranged attacks. Bullets, in particular, not necessarily grenades or whatnot. But when you have a reflect chance of 20% whenever you have a shield up, that's really good. So if you have let's say a Cleese, or you're playing with a Reyna, you're keeping your shield up, or you're playing Shannon Oryx with a really heavy shield and you have skills to keep that up, this is basically a 20% damage reduction item, which is in most cases, which is amazing. And not only that, it also has a chance to return that damage on their attacker, so it's also a little bit of a shadow DPS. Great item, Modernista. Second boss in Saboteur is the Varl Maligner, and this boss can drop the Quartermastery Band on normal mode. This is a fun item that I usually activate early in a loadout, especially if I'm a shard runner, somebody like Pendles in like I say an incursion map where you're going to go off and you're going to try and take the enemy's shards so they can starve your opponents of shards early in the game. If you can activate this early, all the shards that you pick up, 30% of their value will be shared amongst your team. So the other 4 players will get 30% of the shard values the shards that you collect, which is huge. It's really good. In addition to the normal shard share. And then the trickle-in shard generation and the shield penetration make it really quite a nice item. In advanced mode, the Varl Maligner will drop the Mini Singularity Launcher. And this is a recoil item with health regen as a secondary, but also your regular attacks have a chance to slow an enemy once every 30 seconds. Or not a chance, but they do slow an enemy once every 30 seconds. And I believe this cooldown is independent to each individual enemy, so and procs early. So your first shot might slow them, and then it's 30 seconds before the next shot on that target slows them. But it's nice to be able to apply something passively that can apply a slow. That's really nice. Going to the final boss here is the Foreman Grawl. And on normal mode, you can drop 2 items. You can drop the Premium Health Plan, which gives you maximum health, shield recharge as a secondary, and then an additional shield recharge per second based on your percentage of max health. The larger value being the more health you have, the more that shield recharge per second kicks in. Again, another great item for somebody with a large shield or somebody who invokes shield recharge often. The second item you can drop is the Syntholine Tonic, and this gives you the sprint speed with secondary being critical hit damage. That's not bad. And your third item, third stat on this item, is Lifesteal, and you get Lifesteal on an enemy with the attack that precedes you sprinting for 3 seconds. So what happens is if you hit sprint and you're sprinting for at least 3 seconds, your next attack, it gives you Lifesteal. So imagine like Atticus with this on there. You have a faster sprint speed, you have great critical hit chance, and you're running around with a charge fist. Not a bad item combination, because then that first hit is going to do a Lifesteal, as well as you have that bonus critical hit damage. So you can look for just plowing a really heavy hit, a heavy crit on something, has that bonus, plus it gives you that little lifesteal. It's kind of nice. Foreman Grawl on Advanced will drop 2 interesting other items. A Mag Daemon, which is a reload. It's a magazine, so it gives you some reload speed, reduces your CC duration. And then the third item, a third stat, is that the reloads performed while sprinting are an additional 14 or 15% reload speed, so reduced reload speed. So if you're used to shooting, and then starting to sprint and run, if you hit that sprint activation early, as long as you hit that sprint activation and then reload, that reload's going to be a bit quicker. So if that's natural to you, you might really like picking this item up, because with that natural 21 and the base 15, that's 35% reload speed, just this item when sprinting. Depends on how you use it. So the last item here for Foreman Grawl is the Boots of the Brute. Boots of the Brute. This is great. You have some movement speed, you have some critical hit damage, and then your melee attacks will slow an enemy once every 8 seconds. This is crazy. Every 8 seconds to slow an enemy, because a slow could last 2 seconds, 3, 4, 5 seconds, whatnot. So if you can apply a slow every 8 seconds, and this isn't on a crit, this isn't on health damage, this is your melee attacks will actually hit something and slow them. Because one of the biggest issues with melee is that, besides them being able to be knocked back, is being able to close the gap to their attacker. If they're just slightly out of reach, they'll never be able to get to them. But if you can get keep a slow on and hit them every now and then, slows cannot be overrun. In other words, they can't be hasted out of a slow. Once somebody's slowed, they're slowed for that duration unless somebody removes that status somehow. So this is really good for not just closing the gap, but keeping that gap closed during the duration of the fight. So again, let's go through the items. Saboteur on first boss, Shift Supervisor Varl will drop the Time Killer on normal, and the Modernista on advanced. The Varelsi Maligner, the second boss, will drop the Quartermaster Uben on normal, and the Mini Singularity Launcher on advanced. The final boss, Foreman Grawl, will drop a Premium Health Plan or the Syntholing Tonic on normal, and it will drop the Mag Daemon or the Boots of the Brute on advanced. Again, you can, when you run advanced, you do have a chance for the normal items to drop as well. But if you run on normal, only the normal items are in the legendary item pool.